AITA for refusing to say a single word during family therapy? I'm 16F and my family is pretty dysfunctional to say the least. Arguments happen at least once a day. And I mean full-blown screaming arguments. All the arguments involve my parents. In the house there's me, 16F, my half-brother, 19M, my little sister, 12F, my dad and my mom. Mom and dad decided we needed family therapy. And to be honest, at first I was all on board with going. However, after the first session my mom and dad punished me and my half-brother for what we said to the family counselor during the session. They took away my laptop that I need for study. And they took away my half-brother's gaming PC, which he also uses for study. To put it simply, it became obvious to both of us that we couldn't speak our minds during the therapy sessions without being punished for it later, especially if mom and dad felt offended or upset by what we said. So the next session, I literally said nothing, not a single word. My half-brother did the same. When questions were directed at us, we sat there in complete silence and just stared at the counselor. Mom and dad were angry with us for not contributing, but we continued to not say a word. The therapist was trying to encourage us to speak, but we continued to stay silent and ignore all questions and discussions. But when we got home we were not punished. So that's a significantly better outcome for us. In fact, I think my mom enjoyed the extra time she got to talk when me and my half-brother were silent. However, I did admittedly feel kind of bad for the therapist. She was trying really hard to get us to talk. And I know she's just trying to do her job. I also felt quite rude when she asked me a question and I straight up ignored her like she didn't exist. It's not that my half-brother and I are deliberately trying to be rude. We just don't want to be punished. My dad also thinks we're trying to sabotage family therapy and that our situations won't get better unless we actually talk during therapy. However, how can we talk during therapy if we're just going to be punished for it later? I do genuinely want things to get better in our family, because I love my mom and dad a lot. But I just can't risk it. I also admit the idea of staying silent during therapy was mine. My half-brother agreed with me and went along with it. But the idea was ultimately mine. AITA? NTA call the therapist and let her know why y'all were silent. NTA send the therapist an email saying what you just told us. NTA send your therapist a message telling her that you were punished for talking that first session. NTA ask the therapist to see the kids without the adults. After the first session my mom and dad punished me and my half-brother for what we said to the family counselor during the session. You should communicate this to the therapist. Perhaps by a phone call or email if necessary. That's effed up. My dad also thinks we're trying to sabotage family therapy and that our situations won't get better unless we actually talk during therapy. If this is true, your father is an idiot and a hypocrite. NTA. BTW. Can empathize with the whole, full-blown screaming arguments every day, and I still love mom and dad. I suspect a lot of people are going to not get this. But I get it and it's tough. NTA. The people who are sabotaging the family therapy isn't you or your half-brother. It is your parents who are sabotaging. You should not be punished for what you say in therapy. If your statements based on your observations, perceptions hurt their little feelings, then oh well. Of course you aren't the asshole. Your parents are. NTA. You might consider letting your therapist know privately why you were silent. Your parents seem abusive, and abusers can use therapy to perpetrate their abuse. If the therapist knows this, she may be able to adapt next time, or she may decline to continue therapy. NTA. I am sorry you are going through such a crappy situation. Being punished for speaking your mind during therapy? Wow. Next time, if therapist insist you answer or try to get an answer for you, just say, last time I talked in therapy, I got punished when I got home, so I'd rather stay silent to avoid punishment if you don't mind. Maybe you'll get in even more trouble, but at least you'll have one adult knowing in what kind of hell you are living, and maybe they can help further. Tell the family therapist what your parents did. The therapist will immediately see that as counterproductive and explain why to your parents. Even if it's after the session, a lot of family therapists will take a minute or two after a session for a one-on-one. NTA. Unfortunately, some parents don't engage with family therapy in the right way. They see it as, how can I fix my kids? Which can often mean, how can I get my kids to be the way I want them to be? Or, how can I get my kids to see how perfect I am? They also refuse to do any self-reflection. Frankly, I wouldn't speak up either. By punishing you for speaking, they made a complete joke of the entire process of therapy. It's now worthless. Reminds me of when my family did therapy when I was a teen. Toward the end of our session, the therapist rightly pointed out that many or most of the problems were my mother's fault. That was the last time we went. NTA. Do not feel bad or think you were rude. Your therapist is prepared for silence, and that is okay. Next meeting, request time for your siblings and you to be alone with them to have an honest discussion without your parents present. The therapist, after finding out things like the computers and such, will also be able to adjust how she deals with the situation and will be able to bring discussion about honesty and not being punished for what you say. Unless the therapist gets the truth, it's difficult to truly work with the whole family. At the very least, time without your parents will give you the opportunity to work with them to bring yourself and your siblings to a healthier place. NTA. See and find out if you can talk to that therapist alone with your brother. NTA. But I would try to inform your therapist, maybe slip her a note explaining that you feel unsafe to share your opinion and why. You're just trying to protect yourself. NTA. No one should ever feel like they are being punished by things they need to talk about during therapy. I second the comment about calling the therapist and explaining why you and your brother refused to talk. Because your parents took away computers that you both need for school just for trying to talk through issues. They are the ahs here. Your therapist is not fooled. You are not the first clients in that situation. You're not the your parents are. Punishing you both for being honest is the opposite of what therapy is supposed to be about. NTA. But going to therapy is a waste of time and money if your parents don't expect you to participate. My dad thinks we're trying to sabotage family therapy. No. He and your mom are the ones sabotaging it by punishing you. I'd recommend you tell the therapist directly that you don't feel comfortable speaking because they punished you the first time. She will not be on your parents' side and may be able to do something about it. NTA. And I'm getting narcissist vibes from your parents here.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.